Did Trump actually win the debate? Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, holy shamoli. What a difference 24 hours makes. So, here is now the absolute latest. As you know, and we talked about it on this show. To me, there's no question this wasn't Trump's best debate that he had a couple nights ago with Kamala Harris on Tuesday night. However, and stylistically, he at times was blustering. Look, I think he did miss some real opportunities. There's no doubt about it. He was on the defensive for a good part of the debate. I don't want to rehash everything that we talked about yesterday. And look, Kamala Harris got under his skin. She baited him. She baited him repeatedly. He took the bait. At times, he did seem angry. And look, in a sense, he stylistically lost the debate. On style, I think there's no real argument there. He lost. On style, she was very polished. She was smiling. She seemed to be on the offensive much of the night. And of course, the elephant or the two elephants in the room, it was 3-on-1. Basically, her running mates were David Murr and Lindsey Davis, the moderators. And that's why she was able to be so relaxed, because they were doing so much of the attacking and criticizing for her. They were actually debating Trump more than she was. So it was a 3-on-1 pile-on. Now, all of this being said, I said yesterday, and I got to tell you, it looks like I was wrong. I was wrong. I mean, we'll see. We'll wait for more hard numbers in the next couple of days. I said it would have no impact on the election whatsoever. It would not move the needle. You wouldn't see this change anyone's minds. That essentially, for all of their help in trying to rescue Kamala and carry her through the debate, it didn't help her where it mattered with the voters. Well, guess what? It may now even have hurt her and helped Trump a little bit. If anyone's needle moved, and it appears I may stand corrected, it moved in favor of Trump. Now, here is why. Well, Jeff, why are you saying this? How are you basing this off of? Reuters, which, as you know, is a very liberal media outlet. They're a newswire service like the Associated Press, and the New York Times. So these are two very liberal, very pro-Democrat, pro-Harris media outlets. They had a focus group with independents. These were their people that they picked that were independents, undecided. There's not much. There's a sliver of them, but there are some who still have not made up their mind. They don't know how they're going to vote. They're literally on defense. Well, listen now to this. According to Reuters, after the debate Tuesday night, 6 out of the 10 undecideds now say they're going to vote for Trump or they're leaning to vote for Trump. 3 say they're going to vote for Harris or lean toward voting Harris. 1 is still undecided. Came in undecided, watched the debate undecided, left the debate undecided. But essentially it's 6-3. 2-1 of those independents say after the debate, they're more likely, or if not, they're actually going to vote for Trump. The New York Times, the exact same thing. Independents breaking for Trump after the debate, and many of them women. 2-1. Now, if you remember, much of the talk was about, well, I don't know if women are going to like Trump's bluster, his anger, the way he came across compared to Kamala. But this is now what at least according to these independents, are saying, that on the economy, Trump is better, and that he showed himself to be better during the debate. In fact, listen to this. The big criticism of Kamala from these undecideds, and why now they're breaking for Trump 2-1, is that they found her answers, and this is the words Reuters and the New York Times used. So I'm using their language, not mine. These are their words, not mine. That they found Kamala's answers to be, quote unquote, vague, vacuous, empty, no specifics whatsoever. While Trump, and they said, look, we didn't like the fact that the guy's getting angrier and angrier and angrier. He just like, and he's gloomy and he's not smiling. And, so they weren't happy with his quote unquote style. But they said, I'm sorry, we're suffering. We're living through an inflation crisis. The economy, all of them said, is much worse now than it was 4 years ago under Trump. Trump appeared to us during the debate to be the only one who truly understood how to fix our economic problems. That he really had a grip and a handle on how to bring down inflation, on how to bring back the economy, on how to bring back jobs, on securing the border, that he will definitely secure the border, that he will really address the problem of runaway crime. So they said on the big bread and butter issues that they're voting on, that is really going to make their lives concretely better. They may not have liked the way Trump said it, but they said, we agreed with what he said. In other words, he was speaking to us in a way that Kamala wasn't. She could have had all the Hollywood advisors on her side, which she did. And they could have given her all of these bromides and platitudes and empty words and cheap slogans. And the moderators could be tag teaming with her and like throwing her softball after softball after softball. But with most independents concluded is that she's not ready to be president. She doesn't have concrete solutions. She doesn't truly understand the crisis that most middle working class Americans are in. Trump does. And the biggest thing, Trump did it already. What all of these undecided said is that my life was concretely better under Trump. And these are single women. Either single women alone or single women with children who say, look, my groceries were much cheaper under Trump. My car insurance was much cheaper under Trump. My housing or my rent was much cheaper under Trump. What I'm paying at the gas pump, my energy bills, it's all much cheaper under Trump. And I felt much safer under Trump. The border was secure. Illegals were not rampaging across our country. We didn't have skyrocketing crime. And they look at Kamala Harris and they say, and they're not fooled. They're not stupid voters. They're saying she created the mess. She created the problem. So how are you going to fix the mess when you created the mess? But they said we wanted to have an open mind because, again, they find Trump's personality. They all said, look, we just find him too abrasive. We don't like what he says, the way he says it, the way he talks. So we're open to another option. But what we heard from her was nothing she said is going to fix the problems and the issues that we face every single day. So, ironically, the debate, far from being a disaster for Trump, is actually at worst a draw, but it now appears it's going to move the needle, if anything, his way. And he may now start picking up even more support from independents, from women, from single women, single female voters. And this was the best single minute of the entire debate. And what undecided said again and again and again was that they wish Trump had gone back to this theme the whole debate. And it was literally the last minute of the debate. And I do think, by the way, it was Trump's strongest, his strongest segment, his strongest take on the entire debate. Roll cut 111, Mike.
We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughing. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
It was devastating. It was devastating. And then you combine that with him then saying to her, why didn't you fix it? You had 3.5 years in office. Why didn't you fix it? And independents, undecided voters said, when he kept saying that, we kept saying we couldn't disagree with him. He's completely right. What Trump should have done was to take this 1 minute and his why didn't you fix it and just repeated it like a tape for 90 minutes. And it would have been over. A complete knockout. Are you surprised by these findings?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it?
Apparently that is the line. That and his closing 1 minute that I played just before the break that really swung a lot of independents and undecideds during Tuesday night's historic presidential debate. And the one that really, this one in particular. And you know how they, by the way, 620 here on the great WRKO, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. We got a couple lines open. Once the lines fill up, I'm going to go right to the calls. Just so, you know how they hook people up, you know, these undecideds. And so this is Reuters now. Again, I want to stress this. Reuters news agency, very liberal, like Associated Press, the New York Times. They had their focus group. These are their people. So, you know, these are two very liberal, pro-Kamala news outlets. Media, if you can call them that, media outlets. And 2-1, undecideds broke in favor of Trump after the debate. If anybody's going to get a bounce, it's going to be Trump. And when asked, and, you know, they hook him up and, like, you know, every time, whatever, every minute or two, they press a button, like, don't like, and where Trump really started to see his trend line go up was when he said, well, you had 3.5 years. So why didn't you bring down inflation? Why didn't you improve the economy? Why didn't you secure the border? Why didn't you stop all this skyrocketing crime and on? Because you created the mess. You're part of the problem. You did this. And it was just click, 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 click. Well, yeah, like it's true. Yeah. Obviously, it's true. And so, to be honest, if Trump missed an opportunity yesterday, and I think that was the frustration many of us felt, had he just repeated that 1 minute, almost like a broken record, like a tape, over and over and over for 90 minutes, he would have knocked her out. Like, literally, if he just, no matter what they say to him, well, why didn't you fix it, Kamala? I mean, you've been in power for the last 3.5 years. You still have another 5 months in office. You could, he did, to be fair, he did say it a few times, which is why it looks like many of these undecideds now are going Trump's way. But when I'm talking about a decisive, just knock her out. It's finished. Finito. All he had to do is just say that over and over and over with a smile. Don't need to get upset. Don't need to take the bait. Had he just stood there and say, hey, I did it already. You want lower inflation? I did it. You want a booming economy? I did it. You want a completely secure border? Remain in Mexico, ending catch and release. I did it. You want low crime? I did it. You want peace in Ukraine? Under my watch, Russia didn't take an inch of Ukrainian territory. Under my watch, Iran was in a box. China was in a box. We had peace and prosperity. You want it again? I did it. I mean, really, and just repeat it over and over and over and over and over. And it would have been politically, it would have been a bloodbath for Kamala. Now, to me, what impresses me is that it looks like voters, perceptive enough, and also I think because there's so much at stake. I mean, the times are not good. Times are bad in our country. So this sizzle and no steak that Kamala is selling, this image, this marketing, this movie, this production, this, I am Kamala, look at my hair, look at my teeth, look at the way I speak, I don't say anything. Lights, camera, memorized lines. It's all about vibes and joy and good feelings. And you've got a lot of people on the margins now. And that's the thing. A lot of these undecided voters are saying, I could be out on the street in the next month or two. I haven't paid my rent in 2 months. I'm behind on my bills. I can barely make ends meet. Everything costs too much. I don't have time for this Hollywood-produced glitz and glamour. I need someone who can address my problems now. And those are the ones that kept breaking for Trump, according to Reuters and the New York Times. Which brings me now to the ultimate point. And this is something, frankly, I want to give credit to Sandy, because Sandy was the one who made this argument heavy in our pre-show meeting. She said, the irony of all ironies. Look, no question. David Murr, Lindsey Davis were in the tank for Kamala Harris. So if I asked the question yesterday, did the ABC moderators help or hurt Kamala? I'd say, well, of course they helped her. I mean, all they did was help her. They protected her. They shielded her. They fed her. They were basically her running mates. But now, 24, 48 hours later, when you look at some of these initial polls that are coming out, and they're like, well, actually, no, Trump picked up more support. I think they hurt her. I mean, it was unintentional, obviously. But I think ultimately, having a 3-on-1 debate, having these two security guards, these two bodyguards, protect Kamala, do you know what many independent and undecided voters concluded? Well, if she's not strong enough to go up against Trump one-on-one, if she needs the media to coddle her and shield and protect her, how's she going to go up against Vladimir Putin? How's she going to go up against Xi Jinping? How's she going to go up against the Ayatollahs in Iran? She can't do 90 minutes on a debate stage with Trump without two people riding, or the moderators riding to her rescue. So ironically, what many undecided said is that the ABC News moderators reinforced in their mind that Kamala is too weak, too insecure, too incompetent to be president. They heard her. 6:32 now on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, let me ask you, because I think now it's going to be a very, very different answer, I think, than if we posed this question yesterday. So it is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. The ABC moderators, David Murr and Lindsey Davis, did they actually help or hurt Kamala Harris? They were so in the tank. They so defended her, protected her, shielded her, were helping her, attacking Trump repeatedly, fact-checking him, never fact-checking her. And so obviously everybody was like, oh my God, of course they helped her. But apparently it blew up in Kamala's face. Now, again, this is just my perception and that of some of these undecideds. sampled by the New York Times and Reuters. So maybe you disagree or you see something, I don't, or you have a different angle or a different perspective. But if I was to vote yesterday, I would be A, yes. They clearly helped. Today, I'm going with B, no. They didn't help. So let me ask you, did they help or hurt Kamala Harris? A, yes. B, no. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn is in national ER. And of course, as always, you can vote on X, my handle there, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhn is in national ER. Let me just say this, and I'm not trying to influence the poll results. Please vote how you want to vote. But what many of these undecideds, now, by the way, the economy was number one. It appears now that the economy is even a bigger issue than immigration. Immigration, very high, don't get me wrong, but it appears now that the economy has slightly eclipsed immigration as the number one issue. And on both the economy and immigration, Trump is leading Kamala big in every single poll. Now, my point is just this. What some of these undecideds said is that they said the moderators were clearly biased. They did not appreciate it. They felt that they interjected themselves into the debate, that it was blatantly unfair. In fact, many of them said it was infuriating how unfair they were. And that they were helping Kamala bait Trump and goad Trump and get under his skin. And they felt that the moderators were actually working with, these are the undecideds, working with the Kamala campaign to get Trump's goat, to get him fired up, to get him angry, to throw him off his game. But what they all said was, what kept going through our minds, if the media has to coddle her to have a 90-minute debate with Trump, then she's just not ready to be commander-in-chief. If she can't even stand up to Trump in a 90-minute debate, how is she going to stand up to our enemies around the world? Putin is going to roll her. Xi is going to roll her. The mullahs in Iran are going to roll her. Now, this is me saying this. This is no longer them. Okay, this is pretty much, that was what they said. Let me just add this. I want to go to the phone lines because the lines are jammed. Vladimir Putin, you can look it up. Maybe a week ago now, 10 days, whatever, just recently, was asked at a major press conference in Russia, in Madarasha, who do you prefer to see in the White House? Who would you rather see as the leader of Russia? And he could barely contain his glee. The way he was condescending, the derision, the sarcasm on his face, the disrespect. I've never seen this ever. And he said, oh, it's Kamala Harris. Her smile is so infectious. Oh, she gives off such good emotions and vibes. And the room was laughing. He's laughing. They're laughing. Meaning, I'm going to break her on my knee. He's like, that? The Americans are going to put that empty suit, that charlatan, that cackling fraud? You're going to make her the president of the United States? Are you serious? He's like, I can't believe it. I can't believe our good fortune. She said to Trump in the debate, I don't want to play the cut. She said it so many times, that world leaders are laughing at Trump. Oh, no. That may have been her biggest lie of the night. World leaders literally are laughing at her. And they can't wait to have her be in the White House. And that's what many undecided saw in debate on Tuesday night. She stopped the cackling for the most part. But they looked and they said, hold on, she can't stand on her own 2 feet? She can't do a one-on-one debate without the moderators completely siding with her and debating along with her? She's got to have 2 security guards? to go up against Trump? Come on. Come on. She's not ready for prime time. Trump may have actually won the debate. I don't mean stylistically. I don't mean in terms of an actual debate. I mean in terms of winning voters and moving the needle more in his favor. Now, last point. Do you know who's continuing now to ask for a debate? They didn't just do it last night, the night before, forgive me. Tuesday night. They say, well, maybe it's a ploy. Maybe it's, hey, let's debate again. He's too chicken. Because they don't really want to debate. No, Kamala's people are insisting. They won't stop now. We want another debate. We want another debate. I think it's because they've seen all of these internal polls. And they've seen now, and they're like, yeah, maybe we were too cute by half. Yeah, okay, maybe the pundits and CNN and MSNBC are, in ecstasy and, popping champagne corks. And they think we did great. But with the people that matter, the voters, not so much. Let me add this log. Now, in the wake of what we know, should Trump do another debate? Unless it's Fox News or Newsmax or a non-corporate media, non-liberal media outlet, I think the answer is no. What say you? She needs it. He doesn't need it. Anthony in Michigan. You're going to start us off, Anthony. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Dr. Kuhner, it's been a minute. How are you, brother?
Anthony, great to hear from you. Tell me, what's happening in Michigan?
Well, let's get to this one real quick, and then we'll get to the meat of the subject. One of my part-time gigs is helping to care for a friend declining with Alzheimer's, and I take him out for breakfast. Talked to the waitress yesterday. She goes, oh, yeah, I'm going back to a care scenario. I'm going to start taking care of my son, and I'm giving up waitressing. I'm like, why? Well, they're coming up with the same deal here in Michigan like California, where they're giving them a couple buck raise, and they're not going to do any tips, and they get all sorts of, benefits. And she's like, now all the restaurants are going to close. Jeff, this is a nightmare. So, and Trump's going to benefit from this because what's he been screaming about? No tips for waitresses. This is huge.
Yeah, you're right. No tax on tips. No, you're right. No tax on tips.
So Whitmer really stepped in it, but let's get back to the subject du jour. It was a rough night for Trump, but he's a strong closer, as many people in real estate are. We trust him. There's some people in my circle where the husband will vote Trump, but his wife and kids are probably not. And they've been sort of waiting on, I can't stand Camilla either. I'm wondering what this will do to them. But as you know, I follow Barris. He said something yesterday on his podcast. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to it. He only used the word once, and he says, she came across as a biatch. You know what I mean?
Yes. Let's say which. Let's just say which.
Yes. And I would love to hear Grace's take on it, because women pick up on this. And, I got there's a side note to this, and then I want to get into commission sales. Gutfeld did a monologue a few weeks back where he said, Trump is an ass, but he's my ass. And I've been saying this for years. He's the guy on the other side of the table that if I'm being sued, I want him as my attorney. And maybe America's finally waking up. These two schmucks that were the moderators, Trump or Kamala didn't win. America won, because we see she's as much as an empty suit as Joe in the basement. Now on to commission sales. Jeff, when you're in commission sales, you usually put on a draw, and you got X number of months to prove yourself. And if not, you're out of the firm. She did not do well post the transition from him being the candidate to her. She didn't get a bump as well out of her convention, their convention. And now Barris is saying,
yeah, no, she's got nothing. She got literally nothing from the debate. No, you're completely right, Anthony. Look, I'm telling you, the hand of God, Trump actually won that debate. 649 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. You can also text us 70470. 70470. And I got to tell you, the text line is burning up. People are contacting me on Messenger. Here's what Larry had to say. Jeff, one of the reasons why Kamala did so poorly, it's never a good sign when both sides of the mainstream media came out against the ABC moderators as being unfair and biased. Now, that's a brilliant point. It really is. You know, the big story was ABC because they were so blatantly unfair. As I said, it was real-time election interference. Well, if the moderators are the story of the debate, how much of a victory could it have been for Kamala? So I think now it's starting to all make sense why, forget no bounce. It looks like if anybody got a bounce from it, it's Trump. And this is from Earl, and he makes a really good point regarding, her first interview with CNN where she had to bring Tim Walz. So the debate, she's got to bring the two moderators with her. To do a sit-down interview, she's got to bring Tim Walz. She can't do anything without being protected by somebody else. So Earl makes the point, Jeff, Kamala couldn't even do an interview by herself. Is she going to bring people with her when she's president? What, they're going to talk for her when she meets world leaders? I mean, see, and my point is, it's obvious to you, it's obvious to me, of course. But what I was impressed with, these are undecided voters. They admitted, they go, look, we work very hard. Some of them are single women, working women with 2 children or a child. They go, I'm working. I'm struggling to make ends meet. I just don't have time to follow politics. I just don't, for me, I watch the debates and that's it. I don't have time for anything else. And they were able to see through it. And they're like, well, why does she need 2 people helping her? Like, what? No, if they got to coddle her, if they got to hand feed her everything and attack Trump on her behalf, how's she going to stand up to people around the world? It all ended up blowing up in their face. So ABC News destroyed its credibility. David Murr and Lindsay Davis, like Candy Crowley, remember that when she intervened on behalf of Obama in the second presidential debate and lied on his behalf, and that blew up her career and really damaged CNN, and they've really never recovered since. So David Murr and Lindsay Davis sacrificed their reputations and that of ABC, in the end, for nothing. Because it looks like it didn't even help their candidate, Comrade Kamala. Henry in Walpole, thanks for holding, Henry, and welcome.
Jeff, Kamala wants another debate, and they're very specific as to when they want it. They want it in the first part of October. On October 1st, J.D. Vance is going to destroy Tampon Tim and Kamala. They fear that greatly. Then not only do they want another debate with Trump, but they want it to be around that same time. They don't want that to linger because Vance is going to expose both Tampon Tim and Kamala and destroy them, and that's going to seal the election for Trump. Watch them when they talk about wanting another debate. They're specifically talking about around the first part of October.
No, that's right. First week. You're right. They said it. First week of October, and you nailed it, Henry. Well, what's the big debate on October 1st? It's JD versus Tiananmen Tim. And he's going to wipe the floor with him. JD's going to kill him. I'm telling you. And he's also going to destroy Kamala. You're completely right. So they needed the debate to do damage control from the vice presidential debate. Henry, I want to ask you this, because this is what screamed to me almost immediately. Henry, if you were in a boxing fight, a boxing match, and you just supposedly won the match, Okay, the media saying, oh, Kamala won. She destroyed Trump. All the pundits. I mean, my God. I mean, it was, I'm telling you, for them, it was better than sex. I'm telling you, it was just, you should have seen them. Oh my God. Were they getting off on the debate? They were laughing, crowing, smiling, taunting, goading, mocking Trump. Oh, they were all over themselves. If you believe you won the fight, would you be the one asking for the rematch? Usually, correct me if I'm wrong, Henry, when two people go in the ring, the guy who wants the rematch is the guy who lost, not the guy who won. I mean, Henry, you win a boxing match. Are you screaming for a rematch? Or the guy that you beat, is he the one screaming for a rematch? What say you?
They fear J.D. Vance. That's why they want another rematch to cover up for the destruction that's going to occur on October 1st by Vance of Tampon Tim and Kamala. Both of them are going to go down, and they know it, and they want that another debate around the early part of October, right after Vance destroys them. That's the whole key. Let the Trump team know about this. It's very important. If they grant them another debate, don't do it at first week of October. Let that fester for a while.
Henry, before you go, I want to ask you this, okay? Just for argument's sake, okay? Let's just a fantasy scenario. I've got Trump now on the other end of the phone. Okay, I'm holding up my cell phone as I'm talking to you. And he's on the phone. He says, look, Henry's going to make the decision for me. Henry, should I do another debate? Yes or no? What would you tell him?
With Fox, late October.
Fox, in other words, don't do ABC. Well, I mean, he won't do ABC, but don't do NBC. Don't do CBS. Don't do another one of these liberal media outlets ever again. If you're going to do it with Fox, and do it later, at least several weeks after the J.D. Vance and Tim Walz debate, correct?
Right. That's exactly right.
Henry, thank you very much for that call. That's exactly what I would tell him. Not that Fox is great. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. It's going to be Brett Baer and Martha McCallum. It's just that I know it's going to be semi-fair. It won't be 3-on-1. It'll just be, question, answer. Even if the questions are tilted towards Kamala, it doesn't matter. It's still 1-on-1. And then he destroys her. And that's why I'm telling you, unless she's really desperate, no way is she going on Fox News. Her? Her? No way. John in Watertown. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Yeah, I think your lead-in statement is very true. Everybody I talk to, they say they can't stand Kamala, and they call Kamala. And young girls are telling me, I don't go around talking to young girls, but there's certain places they say she's bad for women. She's really bad for women. If she becomes president, it's going to hurt all girls, all women.
John, I agree. Look, I think she's very bad for women. I think she's a horrible role model, especially for young girls. I completely agree with you. Never mind her positions. Look, take women in sports. How could any self-respecting woman vote for her? Really? She's not going to defend biological women in sports? She, even take her position on abortion. To me, it's all coming out now. We talked about it yesterday, but it's really now getting amplified. She nakedly lied on that stage, as did Lindsay Davis. In Tim Walz's Minnesota, just in Minnesota alone. Okay, I want all of you to think about this. The predecessor of Tim Walz was a Democrat, a liberal Democrat, the guy before him. And he signed into law the Born Infant the Born Infant Alive Protection Act. And what did that say? That said that in the 7th or 8th or 9th month of a pregnancy, if a baby is born alive during an abortion, in other words, the abortion is botched, and the baby is born alive, you cannot kill the baby. You can't. It's against the law. Why? Because the baby's alive. I mean, I'm sorry, it's alive. You may have tried to have an abortion and it didn't work. The baby comes out and it's a baby. It's going to be adopted. It's a baby. It's a complete baby. It's a baby. Tim Walz overturned that act. He literally overturned that act. And in his state, there's, by the way, 7 others, but in his state, if a baby is born alive, a viable baby, it's breathing. I mean, it's a healthy baby. It's a baby. If the mother and the doctor decide that they want to complete the abortion, they can kill the baby as it's alive. And it's happened 5 times. 5 babies under Tim Walz have been murdered. It's murder. It's infanticide. Now, you tell me, how is that pro-woman? By the way, those babies, most of them were female. Those were little girls. Little baby girls. Little baby girls. It's barbaric. I'm telling you, you want to talk about Hitler? This is Hitler. It's obscene. It's vile. It's barbaric. It's barbaric. You're going to allow little girls, and this is what Kamala Harris supports, and Tim Walz, at 8, 9, 10 years old, to have permanent gender mutilation surgery, i.e. gender sex reassignment, quote unquote. This is what the Islamists do in parts of the Muslim world. This is disgusting. They're going to cut off a woman's private parts, and that's it. This a poor girl's private parts cut off. She'll never have children again. She'll never be able to untransition. That's it. She's done. Her private parts are gone. Okay? Both down and up. Both, her breasts and what's between her legs. It's gone. That's it. Bye. It's gone. And you're telling me this is pro-woman? Are you sick? Never mind the fact that she slept, let's be honest, she slept her way to the top. There's a video out. We have it. I can play it. She's hanging out with Willie Brown. This is in the 1990s. She's a much younger woman. Willie Brown is a much older married man. She's confronted on the street and they say, hey, are you his daughter? Because she's so young compared to him. And she says, no, cackling, no, she was his mistress. Now, this is the example we want to give to women. You want to rise? Lay on your back. You want to rise? You got to service a guy, a powerful man. I don't want her as a role model for my daughter. I can tell you this. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Betty in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Betty, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. How's it going?
Good. How are you, Betty?
Good. Well, if I can just back up for 1 second, I just wanted to give my take on the other night. I just want to say, and the Oscar goes to Cuckoo Kamala Venezuela. Well, now we all know she can, listen to lines, read lines. It's great news because she has a future in Hollywood. Let's all help her get there. I say, look, I think we all need to chalk it up. It wasn't his best. It wasn't his worst. Good grief. The guy is human. He was defending himself in the blood, sweat, and tears and love he's put into our country. He should be so proud of himself. He's the best president we've ever had. Listen, we need to stand behind him, beside him, and together with President Trump. We all knew he was going into the lion's den. We don't have to say 3 against 1, fake news. Like, we already knew this. The sign of a great leader is he just went in and did it. The guy's got courage, balls, and a backbone. Hip, hip, hooray for us. And our favorite president he's not your average Joe. He's going to be doing not so average things. And I thought for the most part, while she was spewing her evil, sinister lies, I thought he was doing a great job just standing there. Your average Joe and myself, I would have, been out of my sneakers. I would have been storming the stage. I would have clotheslined her. I mean, how much can one person take? I thought he did a great job, what he had to do. He exposed to most of us that there's clearly another scam going on. Like, who the hell is this person? What the hell happened to Sleepy Joe? And what are we in the Twilight Zone? I mean, we've seen her speak gibberish for the last 3.5 years, cackles, word salads, and crisscross applesauce, excuse after excuse about why our country is or isn't, in free fall. There's no plan, no policy, and so something's seriously wrong, not kosher in Denmark. I mean, I think this is so clear to all your listeners, Jeff. I think we have a job to do, and it's imperative, and it's so vital for all of us foot soldiers to be on the ground. We need to be wearing our MAGA hats, our shirts, our pins, whatever it takes to have the conversation. We need to keep having the conversation and throw out all the facts. I mean, this is what we have to do.
I agree. We've got to expose her. No, you're right, Betty, and that's what I'm doing. That's what you're doing. That's what we're all doing, and that's what we have to do. And just keep exposing her. And look, compare the last 4 years to Trump's 4 years. That's all. Expose her for who she is, and just ask people the obvious question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? There's no question. It was $1.87 a gallon gas. Inflation was about, what is it, 1.3, 1.4%? Wages were up for all working class Americans. By the way, women never did better ever than under Trump. Working class, middle class women, wages up. Women business owners, profits, businesses, employment up. Blacks did better under Trump. I mean, everybody did. But I'm saying in particular, these groups that the liberal media keep saying, oh, you got to vote for, Kamala. Why? You did better under Trump. In every way, you did better under Trump. The border was much more secure under Trump. Ukraine was a hell of a lot better under Trump. Taiwan was better off under Trump. Israel was better off under Trump. The whole world was better off under Trump. Really, Betty, sometimes in life it's a no-brainer, So, Betty, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Angelo in Rockland. Thanks for holding, Angelo, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you, Angelo?
Good. So the other night, the debate really showed how presidential Trump really is in regard to they've been after him prior to him being president. This regime has been taking down countries all over the world, and they're trying to take down one man. That says a lot for Donald Trump. And his heart's for America, and that's the main goal here. He wants America to thrive and the American people, no matter who you are. But as far as that debate, I would do it under his terms now, because he's the top dog. Do it under my terms, or there's no debate and have a nice day. But what do you think about that?
I agree. I especially now, where it looks like you have, again, I'm going, Reuters, New York Times, others. Now I can cite other outlets. They're like, we're shocked. Now, they do say this, Angelo, the independents that are going 2-1 for Trump, the undecideds, okay, that are going for Trump after the debate, they do say, well, stylistically, Kamala won. They believe that she wasn't as angry. It wasn't the bluster. She didn't ramble at times the way Trump did. Look, they got under his skin. It's obvious. That was their goal, and that they accomplished it. So they did say, and they said, look, we don't like that. I mean, you don't want to see a guy be angry for 90 minutes. Remember, they're undecideds. Okay, so they're on the fence. So yeah, I get that. I get it. Why would you get angry? You got the record. You've got the achievements. You've got the truth. I understand why he got angry, because they're ganging up on him, and look at everything they've done for him. But what surprised me was they said on the issues, economy, border, immigration, crime, we loved his answers. We hated Kamala's. After that, now that he's actually going to get even more support and probably get a mini bounce in the polls. Remember, he's already leading her in the national polls. In the battleground states, he's ahead. If he gets another boost, why do another debate? Unless it's completely on your terms. He is now the front runner. She needs the debate. He doesn't. So I'm with you. Angelo, thank you very much for that call. Now, there's just one caveat I need to add, okay? Because I do think it's going to have an impact. I do. And not for Trump. Taylor Swift. After the debate Tuesday night, Taylor Swift came out and endorsed Kamala Harris. So that, look, for especially teenage girls, young women, young girls in particular, they are, when I say they're Swifties, look, my daughter is a Swiftie. They're crazy for Taylor Swift. That's the one thing I said, ooh, if anything can bring people into Kamala's camp, if anything can turn some of these numbers around for her, it would be a really strong endorsement by Taylor Swift. Usually these celebrities, when they make an endorsement, nobody cares. But she has such a fanatical following. They know every word to every song. You got to, when I went on that cruise months ago, I couldn't believe it. These young girls, teenage girls, college girls, like late teens, early 20s. It was like a cult. They run on that dance floor. It was karaoke night. Every song was a Taylor Swift song. Every single one. And they're running on that dance floor. They're jumping, screaming, singing. There was my daughter. She made some friends. She and the friends are on the floor, and Grace is even singing along beside me. She even knows a lot of the Taylor Swift songs. And Grace is clapping her hands. Not that it's going to impact Grace, obviously. Now, the only good thing about the endorsement was that she said, she didn't say vote for Harris. She said, I'm voting for Harris, and I urge all of you to do your own research and make up your own mind. So at least she didn't tell all the Swifties, go and vote for Harris. That's about the only silver lining in that dark cloud. But otherwise, that's the best thing that happened to Kamala Harris in a long time. So outside of that, I think now it's Trump's race to lose. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. And let me ask you, are you concerned about the Taylor Swift endorsement? 720 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. My beautiful Ava, by the way, she just turned 12, on Tuesday. Actually, it was debate night, but anyway, on September 10, she just turned 12. And, we had a beautiful party like just the four of us. Grace made a nice steak dinner and we got her some nice chocolate. She loves chocolate cupcakes. So we got some chocolate cupcakes and sang her happy birthday. Anyway, long story short, my wonderful little Ava, my teddy bear, as I call her, my Ava bear, she listens to the show now. It's been about a year. She's on the school bus and she's got these earbuds and she listens to the show live. Well, what do you think she texted me during the break? Daddy, Taylor Swift rocks. Don't put down Taylor Swift or I'll get mad. So sweetheart, I did not put Taylor Swift down. Okay? I just said this endorsement, I worry could hurt Trump. That's all I'm saying. That's all. Nothing else, sweetheart. So you see what I'm talking about? About these Swifties? You see what I'm talking about? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to read a really good message from Mark. He's summing up what many of you are saying. Many of you are saying, look, Jeff, the Swifties, most of them aren't old enough to vote. So don't worry about it, Jeff. I hope you're right, because you should have seen the 20-somethings on the dance floor when we were doing the karaoke on the cruise ship. I don't know. They seemed into her. I'll tell you this. So anyway, this is from Mark. Jeff, personally, I can give a rat's behind over who Taylor Swift endorses in the presidential election. Because most of these Swifties aren't even old enough to vote. And just like the NFL, Jeff, it turns people off. Because people are sick of seeing her face. Sorry, Ava. People are sick of seeing her face every time the Kansas City Chiefs are on television. By the way, I completely agree with you. I am so sick of seeing her in the booth every time the Kansas City Chiefs are playing, and the media keeps playing these clips over and over and over. But anyway, let that go. So, no, it doesn't concern me in the least who Taylor Swift endorsed. So many of you are saying, Jeff, don't worry about it. It's not going to have much of an impact in the election. If that's the case, I got to tell you, Trump's in the driver's seat. Especially now with, Reuters, New York Times, and others now saying, no, independents actually went for Trump after the debate. Undecideds went for Trump after the debate. They didn't like his style, and I think they didn't like his style to begin with, which is why they're undecided. But on the economy, on immigration, on inflation, on all of these bread and butter issues, they go, Trump spoke to them and convinced them he can solve and fix their issues. Kamala, no. Okay. This is from Mary Ann. Jeff, and this is about a second debate, and I want to ask all of you, Kamala's people now are really pushing hard for a second debate. Trump is not saying anything. He says, let me think about it. Let me talk to my people. So should Trump do a second debate? Yes or no? 617-266-6868. This is what Marianne wrote on Messenger. And as usual, really good analysis. Jeff, regarding Kamala asking for a second debate, she goes, I have a bit of a different take. I think that she and her handlers believe in their minds that she did so well in that debate that she will absolutely destroy Trump in a second debate. Now, I don't agree with what they're thinking, but this is what they think. They believe they have gained so much from it that they think they can finish him off with a second debate. And for those that believe that this vice presidential debate on October 1st is going to be a snooze fest and it doesn't count, they are absolutely wrong. I think that vice presidential debate is going to do more damage than the first debate between Kamala and Donald. I agree. First of all, I think it's going to be a really good debate. And I think Vance is going to wipe the floor with Tampon Tim. And he's going to also really go after Comrade Kamala. And I agree with Marianne. I think it's going to do even more damage against the Harris-Waltz ticket than the debate on Tuesday night. Fred in Newberry. Thanks for holding, Fred, and welcome.
Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, Fred.
I have a public service announcement for Kuhner Country to get conservatives to vote, and it's very, very easy, okay? But before I get to that, I just want to, I'm sorry I'm going back to a question about the voting in person and mail-in voting, okay? We have to embrace mail-in voting as of right now. If we don't, they're putting points on the board, and we're complaining about it, okay? So I vote by mail, and I go and vote in person to make sure that they say, no, you voted by mail. Okay, so I'm double-checking what they're doing, okay? And if I do want to vote in person, I rip up my mail-in ballot and I burn it. That way nobody can get my ballot, okay? So, public service, Thomas Jefferson summed it up. He said, timid men...
Fred, can you please hang on? I'm up against a hard break. There is important news, big news about mail-in ballots and the U.S. Postal Service. And I want to touch on that in the wake of Fred's call. So, Fred, hang on. I'm coming back to you. More calls next. 7:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Fred in Newbury. Fred, you're making a public service announcement. I agree with you. If you're going to vote by mail, then show up to vote in person to make sure that they counted your vote by mail. So, in other words, double check. And if you're going to vote in person, then when you get your mail-in ballot, tear it up. Tear it up, or even hold on to it, bring it with you. So when they claim it, if you vote, on election day and you vote in person, and they say, well, you already voted, you're like, well, that's impossible. Here's my mail-in ballot. In other words, make sure that your vote counts. Don't give them any opportunity to steal your vote. Fred, you didn't get a chance to finish what you were saying. Please pick up where you left off.
Thank you, Jeff. That's correct. So do that. Please, everybody do that. So Thomas Jefferson said, timid men prefer the calm of despotism to the tempestuous sea of liberty. I believe half the country wants to be controlled. They're not free thinkers like Kuhner country. The government doesn't like free thinkers. Free thinkers are their own individual person, and that's what the government doesn't like. So, all right, so here's the public service announcement. It's very easy to do. I vote 4 times, Jeff, okay? Right now there's a van behind me, and they're following me. I think with tinted windows, they're going to drag me away. But this is how you do it, Jeff. You adopt a conservative. I bet you everybody out there knows someone that does not vote, a conservative, okay? The Democrats do this. The other side does this. They're very good at it. We need to do it. I found 4 people that I know that say, I'm too busy to vote on election day or whatever it is. The mail-in ballot is key. You get that mail-in ballot. You fill it out for them. You send it in. They'll sign it. That's it. They're done. They're happy with it. They're like, oh, I didn't have to go to the vote? No, you're done. There you go. 4 people I got, Jeff. Well, 3 and me. So I vote 4 times, Jeff, now. 4 times. If everybody does this, please adopt one person. It will be so overwhelming. They're going to say that we cheated. They're going to be, and then we can call them election deniers. Everybody, please do it. It works. It's so easy.
I love it.
I guarantee you.
I love it.
Buy you said, I'll buy you the best steak at the Hanover Street Chop House if somebody doesn't find one person.
Well, it's post-1917 steakhouse, but yeah. Yes, Fred, I'm with you. I'll buy anybody a steak at the post-1917 steakhouse if they can start doing this, because you're right. This is the way we win. Literally, they can't stop us. In other words, look, I'm an in-person voting guy. That's just the way I am, Fred. I'm not going to change. But no, I hear you. You say, look, you can't vote on election day? No problem. You get your mail-in ballot. I'll come over. I'll fill it out for you. I'll do the whole thing for you. I just need you to sign. That's it. And then we drop it off in the mailbox or whatever yet, and then the drop box or in the mailbox, and you're good. And you don't have to worry about it. Case closed. If everybody got a couple people to do that, the election's over. It's those that stay at home that are going to cost us our country if we lose in November, which I don't believe we will. But thank you, Fred. You're dead on. Okay, now, already, you see, they're worried about Trump winning. So, this is now what the U.S. Postal Service said just a couple days ago. Now the U.S. Postal Service is saying, get ready. They may not be able to handle the massive volume of all the mail-in ballots. And so even though, this is what they're saying all across the country, even though people are going to be casting or mailing in their ballots, sometimes, weeks before the election. In fact, I think early voting in Pennsylvania starts next week. So already they're going to start mailing in ballots, say, in Pennsylvania next week. Now they're saying they're going to have to, maybe you're going to have to count the ballots after Election Day. In other words, 6 weeks is not enough time. 5 weeks is not enough time. 4 weeks is not enough time to make sure that the mail-in ballots are delivered before or on Election Day. So they're saying, just get ready. Get ready. Many of these mail-in ballots are going to have to be counted after Election Day. That's why, in principle, mail-in balloting is such a horrible idea. Look at the mistrust. Look at the possibility for electoral corruption. Now, I'm sorry, if you're going to vote by mail, then you got to make sure that you send it early enough so that it arrives before or on the day of the election. Anything that is counted after the election should be discounted. It should be invalid. And that's one of the key fatal flaws of mail-in balloting. 617, agree, disagree. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very quickly. This is Trump. He was on Fox the morning or whatever, the day after the presidential debate on Tuesday night. And this is what he said about his debate performance, Kamala, and the ABC moderators. Roll cut 1, Mike.
It was 3-1. It was a rigged deal, as I assumed it would be, because when you looked at the fact that they were correcting everything and not correcting with her, and we knew it when it was 100% good coverage for her over the last month or last year. I looked at it, and only bad coverage of me, no matter what. The press is so dishonest in this country, it's amazing. Now, I didn't mind because, frankly, I knew I was pretty sure that's what they would do. CNN was much more honorable. The debate we had with Biden was a much more honorably run debate, but this was incredible. I mean, everything, so many things I said were debunked, totally debunked, like Charlottesville, I have a list of 7 different things, and she could say anything she wanted, everything, every time I spoke, and my stuff was right, they'd correct you. I thought it was terrible from the standpoint of ABC. They're the most dishonest, in my opinion, the most dishonest news organization.
That's the one. I don't know, MSNBC, Donald, huh? I don't know. I'd probably go MSNBC over ABC. I mean, they're dishonest as hell, don't get me wrong. But, you're like, the most dishonest. Maybe I think MSNBC is a little worse. Okay? But anyway, I don't want to quibble there, Donald, because he's completely correct. Now, what the amazing thing is, again, the hand of God. Undecided saw through that. Many independents saw through that. Another reason why many went for Trump over Kamala now, according to, New York Times and Reuters, saying, 2-1, Trump is now winning the undecideds in the wake of the debate. They couldn't stand the behavior of David Murr and Lindsey Davis. It was 3-on-1. They said it was blatantly unfair. It was clearly a coordinated attack, and that they were there to deliberately undermine Trump and undermine his presidential campaign. Now, I just want to say one thing very quickly, and then I'm going to go to John in Westford, I promise. I want you to think about Trump just for a second. Put yourself in his shoes. Here you have a regime, Biden-Harris, that have tried to bankrupt you, that sent the FBI, ordered the FBI into your home with shoot-to-kill orders for you and your family. They have tried to put you in jail. They have now run rape cases against you that they know are lies. They've run 4 federal cases against you that they know are lies. They're trying to put you behind bars for nearly 1,000 years. They tried to knock you off the ballot in Colorado and Maine and other states around the country. They're salivating to jail you and destroy your entire family with the full collusion and help of the entire fake news media. And that which, you know what I really want to say, but I can't say it. That which, if you notice, at the very beginning of the debate, walks over to him with that fake, phony smile, that greasy smile, that oily smile of a charlatan politician, and shakes his hand. Shakes his hand. Pleasure to meet you. As she's literally trying to get you murdered, jailed, bankrupted, and have your whole family wiped out. And then, after that smile and the handshake, spends 90 minutes smearing you, lying about you, calling you every name in the book. Now, let me ask you, if this was done to you, would your blood pressure be going through the roof? Would you be like about to blow? Would you be angry? Would you be pissed off? Would you be saying, you hypocritical, let me really clean this up. You hypocritical SOB or whatever. You hypocritical witch. You little witch, you. Because I know that's what I would be thinking. And that was all deliberate. Because one of the rules of the debate was no handshakes. It wasn't just, the mics are supposed to be muted and you have to stand and nobody's in the audience. And in theory, no notes, although she had notes, she had cheat sheets, but let that go. And they gave her the questions. No question they gave her the questions ahead of time. Okay? But let all that go. There was going to be no handshakes. So if you remember, Trump is caught a little bit off guard. He's like, well, we agreed, no handshakes. She deliberately walked over. That was just to get under his skin. And that was their strategy, to make him lose his cool. Now, should he have lost it? No. But do I understand? You better believe I understand. 7:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. Lot of reaction coming in now. Over Kamala Harris shaking Trump's hand before the debate. So this is from Eric on Messenger. Jeff, Trump should have pulled out a handkerchief and wiped his hand after that handshake. Secondly, all Trump has to say is, quote, I'm fighting a war that they are waging against the American people, so I must fight like Tuesday night to prevent Kamala getting us into another world war. She and her people are putting the final nails in America's coffin. I mean, look, I got to say this. It was a female listener. In fact, she's a friend of, I would say my friend as well, obviously, but initially Grace's friend up in Montreal. And she has been listening to the show now for many years, big supporter of the show. And she texted me yesterday during the show. And she said, Jeff, I think he won the debate. And I texted her back and I said, well, why? And she said, well, I know a lot of people don't like it when he's angry and the bluster, and could he have been a little bit better prepared, and did he miss some opportunities? And yeah. She said, that's all true. But she goes, let me tell you what I saw. And then she said, as a woman, this is what I think other women saw. And apparently now it's turned out to be confirmed by at least, the polls afterwards. He was mad because he's really mad about the state of the country. And so the anger that he was reflecting on the stage, ironically, it's usually not good to be angry in a debate. I mean, once in a while, but not for 90 minutes. But she said it worked because many other women, many other people, obviously everybody, but she said women in particular, single women especially, they're really mad. They're always mad because the cost of living is so high. Every time they go to the grocery store, they're mad. Every time they pay a bill, they're mad. Every time they pay their rent or their mortgage, they're mad. So what she said to me, she goes, I'm telling you, watch. It's not going to turn off female voters the way the media and many people think. I'm like, that's interesting. Okay. And it looks like she was right. So now, she did say, look, if times were better, if people weren't so desperate, No, I don't think 90 minutes of a guy being angry is a great debate strategy. Obviously. And generally, you do want somebody who's a little bit more optimistic, right? You don't want to hear just doom and gloom for 90 minutes. But, her point was people are really hurting. Many are are either on the margins or on the verge of being on the margins. And he doesn't have to be optimistic because we know he did it already. You don't have to sell us, convince us that you can make America better. It was better under you. We know that. So her point was his anger reflects the anger of so many people. And she said, I'm telling you, a lot more women are going to relate to him than to Kamala. And it turns out she was right. I mean, again, I don't want to jump the gun. I'm just going by what Reuters is reporting, what the New York Times and others are saying, their focus groups and their polls. But look, let's put it this way. At a bare minimum, the debate was a draw. And I think in reality, Trump just picked up even more support. John in Westford. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Good morning. I hope your daughter isn't listening, but Taylor Swift, she's a sellout. Shamrock Records bought her album or her music for $300 million, and they weren't doing well financially at the time. The money came from George Soros. And the lawyers in this agreement conveniently left out that she wouldn't be able to remix or re-release those same songs, which she did. They call it Taylor's version. So now she's making 100 million more on top of the 300 that she got from George Soros. And as far as the handshake goes, I don't know if you know this, but Trump is a germaphobe. And he was on Oprah talking about they're begging him become president, go into politics, and he said I would love to, but all the handshaking, I'm a germaphobe, kind of like Howie Mandel. It's right there; you can find it on old tapes. So when he's out on the campaign trail, when the Secret Service always has hand sanitizer with him, he just turns around and says, "Give me the stuff," and then they spritz him with a little Perel. So I wonder if that had anything to do with it too.
Interesting.
What do you think?
Interesting. Look, I just very quickly, John, I know it's irrelevant almost, but I'm a germaphobe as well. I can really relate to Trump. My wife, my kids laugh at me. I can't tell you how many times a day I wash my hands. That hand sanitizer, and I know it's not even healthy. And Trump knows it too. After a while, like you lower your immunity to viruses if you keep doing it. But anyway, I'm pumping that hand sanitizer, John, if you only knew. I'm like, anything I touch. Oh, back to the hand sanitizer. But anyway, let that go. And luckily, no, my daughter is in school, so she didn't hear this, John. Thank the Lord. Look, I don't like Taylor Swift's music. Like, let me just be, like I'm in the confessional. I don't like her. I've never liked her. I don't want to say that to my daughter because it'll really bother her. I don't like her. I don't like her music. I think she's a complete phony and a fraud. Just my honest opinion. Don't care for her. I agree with you on everything that you said. My only question to you, John, is this. She has, as you know, a rabid, massive, I don't even think fanatical is the word. Fanatical, almost like a cult-like following. Okay, like Jonestown. I mean, if she told people to jump off a bridge, some would jump off a bridge. Will it have an impact on the election? Or do you think, A, she's just, so many of her fans are too young to vote? And B, she didn't say go vote for Kamala. She just said, I'm voting for Kamala. What say you?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to hurt at all. Anybody that's voting age that's listening to Taylor Swift is probably going to vote Dem anyways. And as far as her relationship with Travis, I mean, that turned off so many people. Anybody watching football is just sick of it. So I don't think she's going to have an impact at all.
I got to ask you, I'm kind of being a little bit self-indulgent here because really at this point, I should say thanks for the call. But I can't stand the two of them as well. I don't know what it is. I don't care for her. I hardly know nothing about that guy except, he's a tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. But I can't stand the way the media is fawning over them. The NFL showing her in the box all the time. The whole sort of fake love story between the two of them. Why do you think, John, that so many people can't stand this media hype over Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce? John?
Out the big farm. Hello?
Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just they're so fake, and he's a big sellout to Big Farm. He's receiving a lot of money to push Pfizer and the vax and everybody. So, one more reason. Yeah,
no, I'm with you. They're phony, and you're right. I see with these commercials with him pushing the jab and Pfizer, and honestly, they're both bought and paid for. They, I don't know what else to tell you. Anyway, John, great call. Thank you very much for that call. I don't know. They just rub me the wrong way. I don't like each of them. I don't like either of them, but together it's even worse. The whole thing, just makes me cringe. 617-266-6868. Okay, Bruce in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Bruce, and welcome. Bruce, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing okay. I'm at work. I'm actually
Bruce, can you please? We can barely hear you. Can you get off speakerphone, please, Bruce?
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Well, not really, Bruce. Bruce, hold on. We're going to try to get a better connection, and we'll come right back to you. Paul in Rhode Island. Thanks for holding. Please, can you all get off speakerphone, please? Because it sounds horrible. Please do me a favor on this one. All right, go ahead, Paul.
I'm telling you.
Oh, you're loud and clear. All right, go ahead.
Like Russ Limbaugh used to say, it involves Kamala Harris. Symbolism over substance. She talks a lot, but yet she has no substance. She has no real plan, no real vision. Trump is just the opposite. He has a plan. He has a vision. And what he says is from the heart.
I agree. I think that's his appeal. I think that he's raw. He's authentic. He is what he is, no matter where he is, no matter what setting, no matter what circumstance, he is what he is. And that's what you saw, I think, Tuesday night. And I think what the other thing people saw was this was a man under siege. It was 3-on-1. And they were trying to trip him up. And they were fact-checking him, even though he was telling the truth. And they were trying to bait him and bait him and bait him and bait him. And the American people, it now appears, saw through it. And they saw a man surrounded. They saw him being ambushed. They saw it was a setup. And to his credit, he fought right to the end. And I got to tell you, Paul, I played the cut earlier. His opening was very strong. His first minute was very strong. But the last minute, his final concluding minute, where he ends the debate, was the best of the entire debate. And I just think there's a little bit, you're like, oh, if you could have just done that the whole debate, it would have been over. The whole election would have been over right here. September 10, it's done. It's done. But no, and people watched it. That's another thing. All these undecided said, no, we watched the whole hour and a half, the whole thing. And they also said, we loved his last minute. We thought the last minute summed it all up. And so he finished really strong. And what we saw, Paul, was a fighter. He has been fighting to get back to the White House. He's fighting for us. And he even fought throughout the entire debate. He fought. And Paul, let me just ask you this. If you were ever in a legal jeopardy and whoever you're up against, would you want Trump as your lawyer? If you're in any negotiation for whatever it is, would you want Trump as your guy? Because I know I would. Now, is he browbeating the other side? Yes. Is he shouting? Is he yelling? Is he banging his fists on the table? Is he, do I go, like, geez, whoa, hey, that's a little much for me. But I don't care. Why? Because he's winning. He's fighting like hell for me. That's what I want. Am I wrong, Paul?
No, you're not. You have to be aggressive. You have to be on point. You have to be focused, and you have to be for real. And Kamala Harris is not for real. Not for real. She's fake. All fluff, no substance. And that's what most of the American people see.
Amen. Paul, well said. Bruce, we got him back in Woburn. Bruce, did we fix the connection issues? Are you there? Yes, there it is, my friend.
Yeah, really, I had the volume down because I'm in an office building.
I understand. You're calling from work. You're Kuhner country.
Yeah.
You're on the job, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're working. But anyways, the first thing I want to say, we got to change from ABC to ABOC. A bunch of commies. But listen, if Kamala wants to be the first woman president of the United States, she should have worn a skirt in the debate. And Trump was Trump. But actually, Trump was presidentially more than Trump has ever been presidentially. He brought out things that were all truth. And everything she brought out was lies. And we can't have that. And if he was being mean to her, well, what do you think that all these countries that are against us are going to be to her? She can't stand up to them. She can't even stand up for, I just can't believe the way the debate went. I really can't, Jeff. It was just,
well, I think honestly, Bruce, all kidding aside, look, I don't, whether she wears a skirt or not, I think is irrelevant. Look, pantsuits are fine. I think they're very professional. The issue is not what she wore. The issue is what came out of her mouth. And I think even increasingly, this is what's amazing, and I'm happy it's coming out, is that what's mattering now to undecided independent voters is that it was 3-on-1. And exactly what you said. If she's not able to stand up to Trump, if she's that incompetent that she needs two people to help her out, lady, you have no business being, or I don't care if it's a lady or a man. If you're, it's the way they carry Joe Biden for the last, who respects Joe Biden? You need people to carry you. You can't do the job on your own. Look, Bruce, I know you're working your rear end off. Okay. I know that. You don't need two people to help you do your job. You do your job. I do my job. Everybody does their job. They carried Joe Biden for 3.5 years. And then what they saw on that debate stage were two hacks, two Democratic Party activists, hacks, masquerading as so-called journalists, carrying this woman for 90 minutes. And the American people concluded and said, hey, look, yeah, maybe there's bluster. Maybe he's rambling. Maybe he's losing his cool. Okay, I get that. Maybe not nice. Maybe he shouldn't do it. But holy mackerel. So what? Someone else is going to do the presidency for her when she meets Putin? Or forget even our enemies. What about, hey, look, the Germans are really good trade negotiators. I'm telling you. We can say whatever we want about the Europeans. When it comes to trade deals, they're killers. Taiwan, they're killers. The Japanese, they're killers. The Mexicans, they're killers. The South Koreans, I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying they're killers. So what? We're going to have, other people defend the United States because she's too weak to stand up for us? That's what the American people saw. So what? They're going to negotiate for what? They're going to talk for you? So when you sit down with a world leader, you can't do it? They got to hold your hand like a little child? She's not ready for prime time. And deep down, she knows it. And that's why she's got to go back to the bottle again and again and again and again. She's profoundly insecure because she's been consistently promoted beyond her merit, beyond her talent, beyond her depth. She's out of her league. And to me, what scares me, Bruce, is that they know it. David Murr knows it. ABC Disney, who sanctioned what they did. By the way, everyone's telling you, oh boy, David Murr and Lindsay Davis, they must be in trouble. No, they did exactly what the head of ABC Disney wanted them to do. By the way, it's coming out now. The top people at ABC Disney are friends with Kamala Harris. They're buddies. And they gave the order. Take Trump out. Your job is not to be an impartial moderator. Your job is to be a journalistic assassin. So you are teaming up with Kamala to take him out. And that's what the American people saw. And when they said that, they said, then she's not fit for the job. If you can't stand up on your own 2 feet and carry your own water and just simply do a fair, honest debate, then I'm sorry. Bye. You failed the test. And that's why now they're begging. Here, it's all over. This is all everybody's talking about now. Kamala Harris's people want a second debate. And Trump is saying he's not sure. Trump is saying, I haven't made up my mind. Trump says, I'm talking to my people. So it's obvious they are now, the Harris people are desperate for a debate because it didn't give them the bounce that they thought it would. Bruce, thank you for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Now you have some Democrats, senators publicly saying to Kamala, if you need to, go on Fox News. In other words, we know you don't want to go on Fox. You don't want to go on that avenue, in that venue. You don't want to go on that platform, but you may have to. She's in trouble. I remember what I said. I said at the convention, I said, this is her high water mark. I said, now watch. It's going to start going down and down and down. Lou in Acton. Thanks for holding, Lou, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you? Just wanted to bring up a quick point about Taylor Swift.
Yes.
I don't think her effect is going to be as high as everyone thinks, or as high as you think, because she's big with teenage girls. She's basically transitioned into a pop star, but for voting age young women, 20s and 30s, country music is huge, and country music is America. Country music aligns with Trump. All these country music stars pretty much align with Trump. All these young women, my future daughter-in-law, all her friends, they flock around country music. It rules, and they all are Trump supporters because that represents America first. And that's what they want. And I wanted to add that. I think it was important to add that point.
Lou, you have no idea how I so hope you're right. Lou, I'm not a big, I'm not a big, for me, music ended in the 1980s, Lou. I listen to AC/DC in the car, okay? So I defer to you on knowledge of pop culture and music. I really hope you're right, Lou. Fingers crossed. Lou, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, double-barreled question. Let's go for it. The Taylor Swift endorsement of Kamala. Will it help Kamala? And should Trump do a second debate? 820 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, you can also text the Kuhner Man, and the text line is on fire today, baby. 70470. This is from 602. Jeff, and I think this explains why so many undecideds, 2-1, it appears, again, I'm just going by the immediate post-debate polls, are breaking towards Trump in the wake of the debate. Jeff, 602, Jeff, one thing that innately turns most people off in general is seeing an unfair fight. That's very true. Especially when a person is being ganged up on. That kind of thing may play well with the Moonbats, who are hopelessly in the tank for the Democrat Party. Because frankly, a good majority of them are simply unprincipled people. But it doesn't play well with independents and undecided voters who tend to have a sense of impartiality. I actually thought of those independents as I watched that debate because I was certain they had to be picking up on that as well. And apparently 602, I mean, you were right. A lot of them were complaining about the moderators, and they said, I felt a lot of sympathy and empathy for Trump. And that he just stood there and fought and fought and fought and fought and fought. They said he gained our respect. Never mind the big issue. They said, look, he was hammering what I care about. He was hammering on the economy, on inflation, on the high cost of living, on immigration, the border, crime. They go, he won the debate. That's why we're going to vote for him. Okay, just one more, and then I want to go right back to the phone line. 617-266-6868 is the number. And this is a brilliant point by Larry on Messenger. Absolutely brilliant. It's true, but I don't know. I didn't notice it, but it's really, really true. Jeff, have you noticed that the media isn't highlighting any of Kamala's zingers or quips? Because there's nothing, in quotes, in caps, there's nothing of substance to brag about. That is a really good point. You know, normally after a debate, what do you always see, right? You know, this line, that comment, that quip, that zinger, that whatever, that clip, you know, and nothing. Nothing. The media is not playing a single one of them. Why? Because she said nothing of substance. So in the end, she may have smiled. Her hair may have been good. She may have looked all relaxed and cool and giving off good vibes and make these ridiculous facial expressions. But she said absolutely nothing. No substance. Empty. Vacuous. No specifics. And the American people, in a time of crisis, many of us hurting, said, you know what? No. We're not buying what you're selling. 617-266-6868. Antoinette is it Charlton or Charleston? Charlton. Okay, Antoinette in Charlton. Thanks for holding, Antoinette, and welcome.
I'm so glad. I was on hold yesterday. I couldn't get on, but I'm glad I'm on today because I had an experience yesterday, and as soon as I had it, I said I have to call into the show. I was on a college campus yesterday in a cafeteria, and next to me, I was sitting doing some work, and next to me, 3 older women sat down at the table, in late 60s, early 70s, and they sat down and they said, oh, did you see the debate last night? 3 of them, like silly adolescent teenagers, the first things out of their mouth was, oh, Trump, he's a mean guy. I can't stand him. He's a liar. He's a pig. Around the table, like 3 adolescents, and their support for Kamala was, oh, did you see the look she gave him? She really got him with those looks. I couldn't believe on a college campus, I'm sitting next to 3 seasoned women, and this was the basis of their conversation, supporting Kamala and debunking Trump. I listened. Now I'm sitting back, I'm listening. No policy. They talked about nothing on policy. It was all how she was smooth and she was dressed well and she got him with his looks and he's just a mean guy. Ridiculous. I wanted so much to engage, but I knew it was futile because they were talking about Trump supporters and the nerve they say, you just can't talk to them. They make no sense. It was embarrassing for me as a woman to hear all they care about is that Kamala is a woman. No substance, no policy. So these are the women that are out there casting votes. And I walked away feeling like I should have done something, but I was angry, and I can understand. We brought up the point about Trump's blood boiling. I can understand it because I felt the same way. It is something to be angry about. Trump's emotions, for me, are raw, and what everyone is feeling. This is a serious state of our country. This is not something to cackle about and to laugh and take lightly. We are in dire straits of our country, going on the brink, right over the fall into communism, and they don't recognize. They are so easily fooled. So these are the people that I said, these are three women that are going to cast votes in a direction of a country that they don't understand anything that's going on. But three adolescent women in a college campus. I just was. If I didn't overhear it, I would never think that. Well,
Antoinette, look, I believe you, and I'll tell you why. I know you. First of all, you sound like a very honest woman, number one. But number two, I believe you because I've experienced the same thing. A close family friend of ours. Exactly. She's in her late 60s, early 70s, and she's voting for Kamala, all on emotion. It's all on cheap emotion. Nothing else. Nothing. 8:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends. So the Taylor Swift saga now continues. So listen now to this. Okay, so as you know, Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris right after the debate. Now, she endorsed Kamala with a picture of her holding a cat. And she went on about in her X post or whatever, on her post on X, saying that, well, I'm endorsing Kamala on behalf of all the cat ladies in the world, referring to J.D. Vance's criticism of cat ladies, the kinds of people that vote for Kamala Harris. So it appears now that, Elon Musk, who's a big supporter of Trump, he responded to say Taylor Swift. And so here's what he wrote on X. Fine, Taylor, you win. I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life. So he's basically mocking her. I'm a childless cat lady. Well, on behalf of all the childless cat ladies, I'm supporting Kamala Harris. Travis Kelce, Mr. Tough Guy, okay, the football player, the quarterback, the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, the boyfriend, then responded to Elon. And this is how childish now this is getting. I'm 6'5". This is what he wrote to Elon on X. I'm 6'5" and actually play football. The fact I went to college and got a degree and worked hard might be lost on you. I don't play backgammon, but I do play chess. I could also twist you into a pretzel. What a loser, man. Like, seriously, what a loser. Oh, you got a college degree, big boy? Yeah? What, in golf? Oh, yeah? You can actually play chess? Really? You can actually move the pieces on a board there, big boy? Go take another shot. Pfizer wants you to take another shot for him. You phony, you fraud, you. And, I could twist you into a pretzel. Yeah, tough guy. Oh, really? Really? Elon Musk? What is he, middle-aged? What is Elon, 50? He's got to be in his 50s. Oh, you're a real tough guy there, Travis Kelce. Real tough guy. Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala Harris shows everything that's wrong with the elite in this country, especially these celebrities who are so out of touch. Really, it's pathetic. Why don't you just shut up and sing? Because you don't have to worry about the cost of groceries. And by the way, neither does Travis Kelce, who makes an enormous amount of money playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. So you don't have to worry about the cost of bacon or eggs or milk. You don't have to worry about the price of gas. You don't care that groceries are up 30%. You don't care that people's energy bills are up 60%. You don't care that most Americans now say they're living check to check, and many of them can barely pay the rent. You don't care. So it's easy to vote for a Marxist fraud like Kamala Harris and then walk around with your stupid friends. I'm so woke. Look at me. I'm voting for a woman. I'm so woke. Trump said that this endorsement of Kamala is going to hurt Taylor Swift at the ticket counter. That she's going to pay a big price in the marketplace. I'm telling you right now, you can hold me to this. This is the last time my daughter, at least as long as she lives under my roof, okay, and I'm paying for stuff, this is the last time my daughter ever goes sees a Taylor Swift concert. This is the kind of shenanigans you guys want to play? This is the way you guys want to start playing this? Fine. You know what? You want to directly interject yourself into this election? Go right ahead. You just lost. Now, it may not mean much to you, but I hope other parents now take my lead. We're going to boycott Taylor Swift, and let's see if she still has that big mouth. 617-266-6868 is the number. Now, furthermore, you know Kamala's in trouble, and I'll tell you how you know Kamala's in trouble. I want you to listen to what Trump said at the debate. Roll cut 101, Mike.
You talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it because
your time is
I think we're going to do very well.
We've got a lot more to get.
Yeah, so that, again, David Murr constantly cutting Trump off. But the point is this. He said Biden hates her. He goes, you don't think Biden hates her? She was part of the coup that overthrew him and annulled 14 million votes. And then remember this. Trust me, this will all make sense. He then said, hey, she's copying so many of my policies. Now she supports the border wall. Now she supports fracking. No taxes on tips. It's like she's morphing into me. And remember when he said, you know what? I'm thinking of sending her a MAGA hat. Roll cut 102. Mike.
And policies like they have, I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it.
Now, the MAGA hat. Now, so what happened? Yesterday was the anniversary of 9/11. And Joey, Dementia Joe, President Biden, showed up in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, okay, where Flight 93 crashed. It was going to head either to the White House or to Capitol Hill until the passengers on board, shouted out, let's roll. And they came in and they broke into the cockpit and the plane went down. And I don't know how many lives they saved. But the point is, so there was a huge commemoration event at the site in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And many first responders, firefighters were there. And Joey shows up. And so they told Biden, hey, Joe, why don't you show unity with all of us here? Because a lot of us here are big Trump supporters. Why don't you put on a Trump hat? God is my witness. This is not some fake AI-generated image. Joe Biden takes the Trump hat and puts it on and starts wearing it, and he's laughing. And then he takes a picture with the firefighters. This thing went viral. It swept the internet. It was all over X yesterday. Why would Joe Biden put on a Trump hat, even as a joke? Why would he do this now after calling him every name in the book, after demonizing him, hell, trying to put him in jail, trying to sicking the FBI at his home in Mar-a-Lago, libeling and defaming all of his supporters. And yet there he is now, the day after the debate, And he's wearing, horror of all horrors, a Trump hat. The message, the signal was unmistakable. Everybody could read it. Trump was right. Again, he hates her. As I played in that first cut, he hates her. I can't stand her. And in the second cut, he says, hey, she's copying my policies. I'm going to send her a MAGA hat. He was like, you know what? I'm going to give a big, a blank you, a middle finger to Kamala Harris. But I'll do it in a wink, wink kind of a way. I'll make it look as a joke. Here's the MAGA hat. You know who I really think should win this election? Trump, not Kamala. What he's actually really saying is, you know what? You want to vote for Kamala? Wink, wink. Don't do it. You want to vote for Trump? Wink, wink. Go ahead and do it. As he said, never mess with a Biden. Biden just stuck the knife into Kamala Harris. And that knife was a Trump MAGA hat. Frank in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Frank, and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Kuhner.
Hi, Frank.
I wouldn't worry about Taylor Swift. It's just like all the other celebrities. They're going to go to Canada. They never go. They're just talking a lot of crap. But I'd like to nominate Kamala for Best Actress Award, because if ABC, it was so blatant that they gave her the questions, and I noticed every time that they finished up a round of questioning, she'd take her pen and draw a long line across the pad, like she was going down the line for the questions that they gave him. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting how fair that debate was.
And even though it was that unfair, Frank, it now looks like if anyone is going to get a bump in the polls, it's going to be Trump. That apparently independents and undecideds, 2 and now in some cases even 3-1, say Trump won the debate. So, I mean, how much of a loser, Frank, can she be? They gave her the questions ahead of time. They piled on him 3-1. And Frank, she still lost. 850 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare, baby. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. All right. Sandy is adamant on this point. She was very funny while we were off air, saying, well, I don't know. Did Biden really put the knife into Kamala by wearing that MAGA hat? Or was he even aware that it was a MAGA hat that they put on his head? Sandy's like, we're talking about Joe Biden here. So maybe everybody's reading way too much into him putting on that Trump hat in Shanksville, Pennsylvania yesterday in front of those Trump supporting firefighters. So look, let me ask all of you. Do you think Biden was giving a signal, a bit of a secret signal to everybody? Wink, wink. You can vote for Trump. It's okay. I can't stand that witch. Kamala, I really hate her. Don't ever mess with a Biden. Or do you think he's so far gone, like the village idiot, that they're just making fun of him now at this point? He shows up and they're like, hey, let's put the MAGA hat on him. Yeah, Joey, take a picture. Joey. And he has like no clue. He's like, oh, okay. So I'm just curious. What do you make of Joe Biden? Dementia Joe putting on a Trump hat, taking a picture with it, alongside Trump supporting firefighters at a 9/11 commemoration event in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Do you think he's actually, in his way, undermining and sticking it to Kamala? Or do you think he has no clue? I mean, he's just, they could have stuck anything on that. They could have put him in a Napoleon hat and he would have been there smiling. 617-266-6868. Lines are jammed. Steve in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Steve, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. Two things that were glaring to me in the debate. The first one is when Lindsey Davis brought up the Gaza-Israel situation, and she made this statement about 40,000 Palestinian civilians being killed. Any credible news agencies always follow up that statement that number is from the Palestinian
Hamas
Health Ministry.
Yeah, it's Hamas.
Does not distinguish between civilians and Hamas terrorists. So someone who is to be considered a world leader should have corrected that statement, especially when this is one of your staunchest allies in the Middle East. So if she wanted to show any type of credibility, she should have corrected the statement, being that Kamala Harris should have corrected that statement. The other thing that stood out to me was when she mentioned the sanctity of Camp David, that Donald Trump had invited the Taliban leadership there. One of her staunch supporters, Bill Clinton, brought Yasser Arafat, who is the king of the terrorist agency, there, and that is part of what the purpose of Camp David is. Is that it's a retreat, and you try to bring together, and you try to have a more subtle situation where you can discuss things without the glaring of being in political capitals and leaders.
Oh, you're dead on, Steve. Actually, you're dead on both points. Really good points. You're completely right. I remember that. And, the Camp David and Yasser Arafat, and they were trying to hammer out a deal with Clinton, which I thought the Clintons pushed a horrible deal on Israel. But let that go, Steve. That's water under the bridge. Now, and as for the Taliban, look, anybody who remembers anything about Obama, it was the Obama administration that started negotiating with the Taliban. So them going on about negotiating with the Taliban, well, Trump's point was they're the people we're fighting. So who am I supposed to negotiate with? Like what, the air, the sky, Allah? Like who am I supposed to negotiate with? And then honestly, Steve, to me, what is so rich and hypocritical coming from them, she's going on about, you negotiated with the Taliban. You let the Taliban come back into power. You pulled all our troops out in the most disastrous withdrawal in American history. You handed them $85 billion of our most advanced military equipment. You literally pulled the plug on the pro-American government in Kabul. You gave the Taliban Bagram Air Base on a silver platter. You handed the whole damn country to the Taliban. And in the process, got 13 American service members slaughtered. And you're lecturing Trump because he negotiated with them? So what? It's better to surrender and appease them than it is to negotiate with them? I mean, to me, the gall on this woman, and of course those two clowns, David Murr and Lindsey Davis, they're like, all they want to talk about, January 6th. January 6th. Can we talk about January 6th? Right, that's all they want to talk about, or abortion. And then lie about when he says, well, no, they've got states that are literally pushing post-birth abortion. That's not true. Well, it is true. I'm sorry, you're lying. The fact checker is lying. But I'm digressing here. Steve, I'm just curious. What you saw on that debate stage Tuesday night, is Kamala Harris ready to end the war between Israel and Hamas? Is she ready to contain Iran? Is she ready to end the war between Russia and Ukraine? Is she ready to contain communist China and prevent it from swallowing Taiwan? In your view, is she a strong enough leader to be the next commander-in-chief?
No, absolutely not. And again, I'll just go back to my first point, is that when you do not defend your allies, which she did not do, and again, any credible news agency reports those numbers, they always back it up with the statement that it's not actual just civilians that have been killed, it's as well as terrorist Hamas terrorists in there. And she did not. So she is not standing by an ally.
Amen. You're dead on.
And I believe that they were trying to goad Trump into saying who he would back when they asked between Ukraine and Russia who he wants to see win the war. He showed his credibility as a world leader by not saying one way or the other, because if he becomes president, which I hope he does, he will have to deal with the situation.
Brilliant.
So if you go and you say, no, I want Russia to win, or I want Ukraine to win,
you how can you be a good faith negotiator? Steve, you're brilliant. I'm telling you, you're absolutely brilliant. That's why Trump is like, and you can see it on his face. He's like, no, you're trying to sabotage my ability to bring that war to an end. Because if I come out now and say, I want Ukraine must win this war. Well, you think Putin's going to take his phone call? When Trump says, hey, come on, let's get to the negotiating table. I'll be the mediator. I'll be the one that, goes between both sides and hammers out a compromise and a ceasefire. Putin's going to say, blank you. You're on the side of the Ukrainians. You said so at the debate. Okay, or whatever. Let's say he turns around and says, I want Putin to win the war. You think Ukraine is then going to say, yeah, Donald, settle this for us. So you could tell on Trump's face, he's like, that's why he kept getting angrier and angrier. He's like, I'm trying to end a war that has cost nearly 1 million lives, that has destroyed Ukraine, that risks escalating to World War III, and you're trying to sabotage this? And that's why he refused to answer the question. And he was right. Completely right. Steve, thank you very much for that call. Ted in Chelmsford, thanks for holding, Ted, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. First time caller. Keep fighting the good fight, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you, Ted.
Jeff, I sent you on the text line a video of the Trump hat viral moment yesterday, and it proves that Biden knew he was sticking the knife in Kamala. The guy sitting there, Biden was offering him a presidential hat, and he was signing it. And when he was signing it, they were having a bit of a conversation. And then Biden, without the guy offering it, Biden said, I want that hat. And the guy was kind of shocked. He gave him the hat, and he said, can you autograph? And he was autographing it for him. And then people started saying, put it on, put it on. And Biden said, oh, I can't go that far. And then he smiled, he put it on, and he posed for pictures. He posed. So he's not that senile. He knew he was sticking the knife in.
Well, Ted, look, let's be honest. If someone, and by the way, you described it really well, Ted, really well. Ted, I mean, think about it, okay? If somebody overthrew you, you're number two, who you elevated to that position. They owe everything to you, Ted. You made that person. And then, you win a primary or whatever. You win the race fair and square. But they don't think you can win the big race, the ultimate race, the general race. And then this person is part of a coup, and they overthrow you. I mean, how would you feel about him, Ted? I'd look at him and I'd say, you traitor, you. That's what I would say. You little witch, you traitor. So, yeah, I'd want to stick it to her as well. Wouldn't you, Ted? If somebody did that to you?
Jeff, I mean, they had to threaten him to get out of the race because the month before he said, I'm not going anywhere. And Pelosi said, we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. And so he was threatened. And of course he's going to have bitterness. That's about as far as he could probably take it with, if he wanted to get up the next day from bed, if you know what I mean.
Ted, thank you very much for that call. Look, to me, it's very telling. All right. This is very telling. I mean, her boss, in theory, I mean, we know he was an absentee president. We know that. But, her boss is telling us as much as he can possibly tell us, don't vote for her. Don't vote for her. Remember what Obama called Biden? That was his nickname, the F up. Okay. The F up is telling us she's so bad, don't vote for her. The F up is telling us she's the F up. It's like, that's how bad she is. I mean, I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up. So it's gotten to the point now that Biden is wearing a Trump cap. Paulette in Mansfield. Thanks for holding, Paulette, and welcome.
Yes, good morning, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Okay, I used to be Paulette from Quincy, but I moved down towards Kuhner country.
Yeah, near my neck of the woods. I was going to say that. My fellow paisan, Paulette.
So I was trying to call in yesterday when everybody was losing their minds regarding whether or not Trump won that debate. I just want you to think about something. I've brought this up before. Trump did not go into that debate not knowing what he was walking into. I think he set them up. I think he underperformed on purpose because guess what's happening now? She is frothing at the mouth to get at him again because she's a little bit too comfortable right now and thinks that she's going to be able to do the same thing that she did to him. And I honestly believe that if he is able to set the rules and go on to Fox or something like that, that he will annihilate her. And I think it's best that he waited until, I think another caller said to do it like in October, because if he's able to do that, this debate that just occurred is going to be out of sight, out of mind for most people. I mean, most people have already probably forgotten about it already because, people's attention span is like the size of a gnat. I was wondering what you thought of that.
I think it's a very interesting theory. I think if it is done on Fox, again, not because Fox is great, far from it, just because, as I said, it'll be, semi-fair. Okay, fairly fair. It'll be one-on-one. It'll be some kind of an actual real debate. It's not going to be, a 3-on-1 ambush. He'll destroy her. And he's going to suck her in and suck her in and suck her in. And then he can just he will really then annihilate her. The only thing I have, Paulette, that kind of concerns me is if this is Trump's strategy, which I think is a very interesting strategy, because I do think he's a much better debater than Kamala. And I think if those two moderators weren't constantly baiting him and getting under his skin, and I think he would have done even much better on Tuesday night's debate. If they say we'll do it first week in October or October 10, I'm just picking a date out of, thin air. By then, a lot of votes will already have been cast. Early balloting begins next week in Pennsylvania, and I believe in 10 days in many, many of the key battleground states. So by, early mid-October, a lot of votes have already been cast. So if Trump is going to do a debate with her, let's say he can get her to capitulate on his rules, and it's going to go to Fox, then I don't want to wait late. I want to do it early. I want as many people to watch who still have not mailed in a ballot or voted early. The sooner, the better in that case. What say you?
An excellent point. I didn't think of that. So maybe they can move it up a little, I think that's what Trump's people are probably talking about now. Because, You see, the thing now is, and I'm not trying to, downplay the J.D. Vance, Tim Walz debate. I think it's going to be a very important debate. But that's on October 1st. And I do believe J.D. will destroy him. There's no question. That you can take to the bank. It will be 3-on-1. It doesn't matter. J.D. will run circles around Walz. And he will really damage Kamala. He's not just going to annihilate Walz. He's going to annihilate Kamala. He's been electric on the campaign trail. I got to tell you, if I'm Trump, I'm ecstatic over my pick of J.D. Vance. It's a master class. If you haven't seen it, Paulette,
look up, I may even play it on tomorrow's show if people want me to. Caitlin Collins of CNN tries to goad J.D. Vance on the issue of, are they eating pets in Springfield, Ohio? And she's saying, oh, that's debunked. You're lying. Trump is lying. These are all lies. The way he dismantled her. I mean, people, even on social media, they're like, wow, like this is how you treat the fake news media. And he's doing it again and again and again. So he's almost like Trump's secret weapon. My point being, you don't want to interfere with the bounce that they're going to get on October 1st, because that's going to go for at least a couple days where people are going to be like, wow, he destroyed Waltz. Wow, he really exposed Harris. So you don't want to mitigate that. That's why Harris's people are saying we want it first week in October. See, they want it really quick after October 1st. So the people will forget about the October 1st debate. No. If I'm Trump, then do the debate before October 1st. In other words, I don't know, 2 weeks from now. Okay, whatever. I'm just making something up here. September 24th. I'm just picking a date. In other words, if you're going to do it and you want it on your terms, the earlier the better. So then you beat her like a drum, and then Waltz is beaten by a drum by J.D. Vance. And still, most of the ballots have not been cast yet. If I'm strategizing, that would be my move. Agree, disagree, Paulette?
Absolutely not. 100% agree with you. 1,000%, Jeff. I think that I love that plan. And as far as JD, I did see that interview with Caitlin Collins. He annihilated her. I mean, the guy is on fire. I think actually he's probably a better debater than Trump, and I think that is going to be an epic debate with Tampon Tim. I think he's going to destroy him, So, yeah, I like that plan, and I hope that they execute that because I think it's a winner.
I agree. Paulette, I agree. Dynamite call. Thank you very much for that call, Paulette. And look, let me just say this about JD very quick. I love the yin and yang between Trump and JD. Like, the expression in a relationship, professional, personal, whatever, they fill gaps. They really do fill gaps. Trump is hard charging. He's Trump. I mean, he's the Donald, JD, he's got that Midwest howdy doody, that face sweet as bread, and he smiles. He's very disarming. He's very different than Trump. Trump has a scowl on his face, right? Trump is like a New York street fighter. He's a New York brawler. No, JD's very Ohio. Very Midwest nice. Honestly, nice guy, sweet as bread, his face. But man, he's almost like, he's like a surgeon when he's debating the media. It's just boom, 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 boom. And I always, every day, I'm like, what did JD Vance? I always follow JD. And he almost holds like a daily press conference. That's why I know he's going to be ready. Oh, is he going to be ready on October 1st? They throw question after question. And he runs circles around them. So, JD is doing phenomenal. You could not have asked for a better Veep. I'm telling you. And Trump has said, he goes, I'm ecstatic. And remember, it was Don Jr. It was, Trump's son that said, Dad, you got to go with, trust me. He goes, Dad, you got to go with JD. And so far, it's paying off big. Dave in Lowell. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure, Dave.
I just don't get it. There is actually police body camera footage of a woman eating a cat being arrested in Ohio. Like, where is Trump's team to pull these facts up to? It should be all over the televisions, and it's not. They're still denying it.
Oh, there's no question. In fact, Dave, if you can do me a big favor, I've got even better than pictures. I've got 911 calls. 911 calls from Springfield, Ohio. Dave, please hang on. I'm going to play those clips. Get your reaction to it, Dave. All of you. The media is lying about Springfield. More next. 9:19 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, so the fake news media complex, okay, the corporate media, as they're now called, is running wild, accusing Trump of lying, saying that no, Haitian illegals aren't killing animals, they're not killing geese, ducks, pets, dogs, cats. No, this is completely debunked. It's a lie. It's a massive lie. Okay. Forget the pictures. And we lost Dave in Lowell, but Dave was completely right. You have a woman admitting she was arrested by a police officer saying she ate her cat. Okay, a Haitian migrant. You have pictures everywhere of Haitian migrants carrying dead geese and dead ducks that they just abducted from the local park, the pond, and snapped their heads off. And now they're going to cook it or barbecue it or roast it or whatever they do with it. And they're carrying, they're carrying 2 ducks and 2 geese each. And you just see them walking. No. Forget your eyes. Listen now to your ears. Here is a audio of a 911 call made by a Springfield citizen. This was in August. And he's saying, you're not going to believe what I just saw. Roll cut 6. Mike.
Clark County Communications. Yes, ma'am. I got a question. This is a non-emergency line, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm sitting here. I'm riding on the trail going to my orientation for my job today. And I see a group of Haitian people. There was about 4 of them. They all had geese in their hand. They got away. I couldn't make out the first 3 of the license plate, but I got the numbers. The last numbers was 9898, and it was a gray Toyota Tacoma they took off on. There was about 4 of them. There was 2 men, 2 women. I couldn't tell the age because I'm in a hurry going to this orientation, so I don't be late.
So I don't mean to laugh. I feel very sorry for those ducks and geese. I just find it funny. The guy's giving the 911 operator his life story. You know, he's like, I'm going to my job or my employment orientation, and So I'm walking there, and I'm thinking like, okay, why don't you just get to the point, man? What's next? My girlfriend and I had a disagreement this morning, but I don't want to get into it. Anyway, but no, what else do you want? Now, I have a lot more, and I'm going to be saving it for tomorrow's show because this is a huge topic, and I don't want to lose the focus of the show, which is what happened Tuesday night's debate and how it appears by all these post-debate polls that Trump actually picked up support among undecided and independents, especially women, single women, which defies everything the media was saying the last 36 hours. So I don't want to lose the focus of that. But look, to show you how serious it is, now the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, is sending in $2.5 million in extra aid to Springfield because it's so chaotic down there. And he's sending now an army of state troopers. They're even talking about sending maybe the National Guard. And the media is going to tell us there's not a problem in Springfield? Are you serious? That's why Trump is going to win. Springfield is a microcosm of everything that's wrong. The media is lying. Trump is the only one on the national stage telling the truth. By the way, so is J.D. Vance. And the people, they know who's telling them the truth. It's not the media. It's Trump and J.D. 617-266-6868 is the number. I love this name. Giovanni in Saugus. Giovanni, you've got a great name. Thanks for holding, Giovanni, and welcome.
Well, I just want to say one thing. Yes,
when Trump's explained about the people in Springfield eating animals, and everyone laughed at him, okay? Now, what happened is Moore says that's not true because we just contacted the mayor, and he says that's not true. Now, how did he know before he even asked a question, okay, or even before Trump spoke, that it wasn't true? It was all fixed.
Oh, no question.
It was all fixed.
No question. And Giovanni, look, Trump said it at the time, and he's right, and it's turning out to be completely true. He's like, well, what is the mayor going to say? It's true. The mayor allowed the Haitians to come in. It's a huge embarrassment to Springfield. So nobody, like, honestly, Giovanni, if you're a city official and you let all these, these illegals pour into your city, you're not going to want to admit, they're chopping the heads off of geese, of ducks, they're eating them. They're kidnapping cats. They're hanging them from branches and skinning them. They don't want to admit that. So this is what everybody said. Why don't you send reporters on the ground and have them go into Springfield? And why don't you interview the residents themselves and ask them, what have they seen? What are you seeing? In other words, go and investigate and report. Don't just mindlessly take the word of the mayor. Agree, disagree? What say you, Giovanni?
The point of the matter is, like you said, if it's happening there, where else is it happening?
You nailed it. Giovanni, you nailed it. And that shows again how rigged the debate was. You're completely right. And how they clearly had given the questions beforehand to Kamala Harris. So they were waiting for their so-called fact-checking to try to undermine and embarrass Trump. 617. But again, Trump has turned the tables on them with the truth. 617-266-6868 is the number. More with your calls next. 9:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. It's just incredible. I really am the Rodney Dangerfield of talk radio. I get no respect. I get no respect whatsoever. So Sandy and Mike in the control room are making fun of me, saying that I'm mispronouncing. It's not Giovanni, it's Giovanni. And apparently Giovanni didn't want to point out to me, our previous caller, that it's pronounced Giovanni and not Giovanni because he didn't want to embarrass me. And I'm thinking, you gotta be kidding me. I don't want to say anything, but from people who pronounce ka, I'm just saying. CJ in Boston. Thanks for holding, CJ, and welcome. CJ, are you easy listening music, or are you at a salon or something? Where is CJ? All right, we'll see if we can reconnect with CJ. Natalie in Hanover. Thanks for holding, Natalie, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Natalie?
I'm well, thank you. With regard to your last subject, with regard to what's happening in Springfield,
yes.
Are you surprised? I'm surprised that it's taken this long for this to come out, because this has been happening for years, up in parts of Maine, up in parts of Vermont, probably parts of New Hampshire. Who knows what's happening in Massachusetts? So your last caller, said, when people don't want to know the truth, they're not going to ask the right questions. So are the people who are in charge, are they just as gaslit as the people who are, saying that this is all mis and disinformation? Or do they really know what's going on?
Well, I think Natalie, here's how I break it up. I think obviously the mayor, or the town manager, as they call him, the town manager of Springfield knows what's going on. He's just playing stupid. The governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, has now come out and said, "Oh no, it's a lie. It's a myth. They're not eating dogs and cats and geese and ducks. These are lies from Trump." So he knows what's going on, and he's lying. Honestly, I think these people at the national media level, they don't know. They don't care. They want to portray, they think by seizing on this story, they're going to portray Trump as a racist. And that's, in fact, the Dana Bash came out yesterday on CNN and saying, for him to even say this shows that he's a racist. Well, the problem now, it's blew up in their face because now everybody's going to Springfield, Ohio. And not only do you see them with the geese and the ducks and the cats and everything else, but you see what a disaster has befallen that entire town. Leave aside the animals for a second. The diseases now that have been brought in, the housing shortage, what has been done to low-income residents in Springfield. They got homeless veterans now. They find out there's homeless vets in Springfield who are being kicked out of these shelters and being replaced with Haitian illegals. So the more people are finding out what's really happening, by the way, kids getting killed, 11-year-old kids being killed by Haitian illegal drivers. Okay, forget cats and, I love my dog, please don't get me wrong, but forget cats, dogs, and geese. They're killing children, man. 11-year-old boys. So ironically, by making an issue out of this, people are so disgusted about what they're seeing in Springfield and saying exactly what you're saying. This is happening in Chicago. This is happening in New York. This is happening in cities and towns all over the country. So again, they're lying because they don't want us to see how they're fundamentally destroying and transforming our country with unlimited third world immigration. With all of this illegal immigration and open borders. And look, another 4 years of this, Natalie, and we're done. To use the geese analogy, our goose is cooked. Natalie, if you don't mind me asking, you said this sort of thing is happening in Vermont, it's happening in Maine, it's happening in New Hampshire. What do you mean in particular? Do you mean migrants abducting and killing pets? Or geese, ducks? What do you mean exactly by that?
What I mean by that are these little enclaves that have been set up in all of our states, okay? So if you think back and you remember what happened in, I believe it was Germany, when they let in all of the refugees, and they were all setting up camps in parts of cities, in parts of the country, and the police forces were told not to go there. They were told not to go there because they were living their lives. They were living their lives based on how they were living their lives in the past. They had no intention on assimilating into society, and they allowed it to happen, just as we have allowed that to happen. Up in Maine, this has been going on for years. So it's the exact same thing. So I don't know why people are so surprised by this. And why? Because the media, yes, they hide it. But my bigger point to all of this is you're saying the mayor of the town or the town manager, whoever he is, he knows this is happening. Of course he does because, well, I shouldn't say that. He should know that it's happening because the police should know that it's happening, and they should be informing the town manager. But at the governor's level, the governor is saying, no, that's not happening because the governor is not paying attention to what's happening underneath. So we all say that they're lying, they're lying, they're lying. But are they really lying? Are they just as naive as the general public because they're not being told the truth? How many times have you been told something and then and believed it and then found out, oh, actually, this is actually the truth. And then you had to walk it back.
Well, Natalie, look, I wouldn't use the word naive. I would use willfully blind, if anything. But no, look, I didn't just play one. I mean, I'm going to play a lot more tomorrow. But what I'm saying is it's not just one 911 call. It's constant 911 calls. It's constant complaints. J.D. Vance came out a couple days ago, and that's why the media is trying to really gun for him, but they can't. He was like, here, email after email after email. Look at this. Paper after paper after paper after paper. Here, look, here it is, right here. Complaints from people in Springfield. Cats abducted. Pets abducted. Squirrels kidnapped on the side of the road and then being literally roadkill. And then these Haitian migrants are skinning them right on the road. Ducks, geese, you name it, everywhere. On top of, cars being flipped over, illegals driving and running people over, smashing into buildings, crime exploding, burglaries, murders, rapes. There's no housing for American residents in Springfield. Many of them not even getting social security social assistance, my bad. They're not getting any social assistance because it's all being swallowed up by the illegals. So J.D. Vance is saying, I was flooded with hundreds, if not thousands of complaints from Springfield. And the governor doesn't know? Of course he knows. The mayor doesn't know? Of course he knows. Just walk outside. Walk the streets. Go to the park. Go to the school. So, no, they know. They're just playing stupid. And the problem now is, by lying, it now created even more attention on Springfield. And now the issue is no longer dogs and cats and geese and ducks. What they're saying is, what are you doing to human beings? What are you doing to fellow Americans? And honestly, Natalie, you got to look at the pictures of parts of Springfield. Oh, my God. What these people have done in 3 years to that small town, it's a disgrace. It really is. But look, Natalie, it comes back to what you said. I know there are Somalis they brought into Maine. They don't assimilate. When you bring in third world immigrants, okay, or to be more accurate, third world illegals, and you don't assimilate them, you bring in the third world, you become the third world. Because they bring in their practices, their culture, their traditions, their beliefs with them. It's only natural. They don't check them at the border. And that's what's happening now all across the country. We're becoming a third world nation. We're all becoming Springfield. And there's another story. I'm going to get to it tomorrow. It is the daughter of a Haitian migrant. And she's now bravely speaking out saying, no, the media's lying to you. My parents abducted cats and they ate cats. In parts of Haiti, as I said, in the hinterland, it is a tradition. So they do eat cats. That's a lie. The media is lying to you. I know. I'm Haitian. I saw it. I ate it. My parents did it. Now, I become Americanized. I grew up now here. I think it's abhorrent. But did my parents do it? Yes. Did they do it here in America? Yes. The only one lying, it's not Trump. It's the media. Again, 9:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, the text line. I'm just going to read it. Just a couple texts and go right back to the phones. Text line's going nuclear. This could be the end of the text line today. There's so many texts coming in. It's going to overheat and just go kaboom. You can text us 70470, 70470. This is from 917. Jeff, someone should tell Taylor Swift there is not a bigger, can't say this word, there is not a bigger blank you to the plight of struggling single moms than a billionaire singer telling them to vote Kamala while their groceries are up 30%, gas has doubled, and the open borders are getting women killed. This is weapons grade stupid. I agree. Completely agree. Completely. Okay, I love this idea. I love it. Trump's people, if you're listening, please, I'm begging you, you've got to do this. and this is from 508. Jeff, Trump or J.D. Vance or both should do a town hall in Springfield, Ohio. Oh, I love it. I love it. 617. Jeff, by the way, where's PETA? That's the question I've been asking. Where the hell is PETA when you need him? Okay, and this is from my sister. It's pretty funny. Obviously, it's said tongue-in-cheek, but it's pretty funny. Jeff, at the price of meat nowadays, you and I and all of us will be eating geese, ducks, whatever we can find in the outdoors pretty soon. Well, yeah, especially if Kamala wins. If Kamala wins, I'm going to go with the Haitians. So how do you do this exactly? CJ in Boston. Thanks for holding, CJ, and welcome.
Thank you for taking the call, Jeff.
CJ.
And, maybe no surprise if there is another debate, the first thing Kamala Harris will promise the United States is that for all those ducks, she's going to supply orange sauce.
Touche, CJ, touche.
Oh, look what she's giving. She's giving our money. Now, that's what they never tell you. It's our money. They want it for childcare. They want it for businesses. They want it for a number of things. What Trump should have pointed out to her right now, he pointed out the $250 billion that we gave Ukraine. But do you know what $250 billion could do for the United States of America? All right? We should have never got involved in that war. Those are the facts. And unless they come together, Ukraine is not going to win that war. And as far as a two-state solution to Palestine, Yasser Arafat repeatedly declined a two-part state in Palestine. So what we have here, Jeff, people need to realize, and they are realizing, because they're going to their doctors and they cannot now get routine appointments because of the overflow of migrants in these hospitals. That's one thing. He should go to the elderly to say, you're paying a copay on everything that you're doing. They are taking away, think about this, they are taking away from citizens, United States citizens, the right to fair and free health care for migrants. They're giving them free health care while people are paying through the nose for health care. Never mind what they're paying in co-pays to their insurance companies for this coverage. That's always been the plan of these Democrat communists. What their plan is to first bankrupt this country, to make everyone believe you can just count on your country because we're going to take care of you, because all it takes is money, and that money we're going to get from the middle class come hell or high water to pay for any boat that we want to buy in this country. What they need to do, should Trump get reelected, and he will get reelected unless they steal this election, they need to reform this and get rid of mail-in balloting. I received 2 ballots in the last election, but I go around the corner and I vote. That's 3 votes that I could have cast. They need to get rid of that voting, Jeff, and they need to get rid of it fast. This country is sinking deeply into quicksand. We see it all around. And it's only people like you and certain people who are speaking the truth. Those people there in Springfield, Ohio, ducks aren't the issue. Okay, they denied it in Denver when they went in with long guns to take over an apartment building, which is now in receivership. They don't care. They don't care about apartments. They don't care about ducks. They don't care about American citizens being murdered in the Big Apple right now. It was recently reported in downtown Manhattan, 75% of violent crime is being committed by illegal aliens, and it's going into the suburbs. But there's something that I need to mention that gets under my crowd, Jeff. It just gets to me, the hypocrisy of this Democratic Party. On the 19th of September, Oprah Winfrey is going to have over 100 different groups in support of Harris. And I'm calling her out right now because it wasn't just the blacks that made Oprah Winfrey $2.8 billion richer. It was white America. I want to know why your people were tearing down statues historical statues in this country, that you can stand up as an African American woman and you can endorse a woman whose family owns slaves. They own slaves, Oprah. Do you get it? I mean, I know you have the money and you really don't care. It doesn't affect you. But every black American in this country should think of this.
Amen.
And on
drop the mic. Honestly, CJ, you nailed it. Really. Look, Kamala Harris's ancestors owned slaves. Literally. In fact, they were the biggest slave owners in Jamaica. And you're going to embrace her? It's unbelievable. By the way, just very quickly, this is Sandy's point, not my point, and it's a brilliant point. She said, Jeff, this is the Hunter Biden laptop all over again. Do you remember the media kept saying it's not true, it's not true, it's not true, and then it turned out to be true? That's exactly what's happening now in Springfield. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. Bye-bye.